Today's class is focusing on creating mindful movements that can help us from time to time when we might experience achiness in the lower back. Okay, so it's going to be a really kind of mellow flow today. One design that's just going to kind of awaken the spine, awaken the hips a little bit, and let us have some tools that we can come to again and again at points in our life when we've been sitting down a lot, or we've been carrying a load or traveling or anything that's a little different to normal, and gives us a feeling of kind of being stuck. We can start to release with these simple moves anytime that we need it. Okay, so let's just grab a block for a moment, sit yourself up on your block. We'll take a minute to arrive into our bodies, into our practice. And it can be comfortable cross legs, it can be sitting on your shins, it can be even lying down if you prefer. That's where we're going to be going next anyway. And then if you're seated, just take a moment to rest your hands onto your knees or your lap. Sit up as nice and tall as you can, collarbone nice and broad here as well. And then just go ahead and close your eyes. Nice light touching of the upper and lower eyelashes and eyelids. Soften the space in between the eyebrows and around the outside edges of the eyes. Take a moment to relax around the corners of the mouth, maybe even a little smile in place. Relaxing the tongue away from the roof of the mouth if you happen to find it there. And just noticing how you're feeling on this brand new day. And those of you who just woke up, what does your energy feel like? And those of you who've already had some part of today, just notice how you're feeling at this point in the day. Notice if your mind is busy and full of things to think about, or if it's allowing you a moment to be still. Sense of ease in the mind. And I want you to see if you can detach from everything that you were doing in the moments before this one. Whatever it might have been, and then let go of what might come later in your day. So no racing forward in time, no looking back. And then the easiest way for us to be here in this moment is to notice the breath. So go ahead and take a nice big breath in through the nose. Imagine yourself growing taller as you lift up a little higher through the spine. Chest and ribs expanding in all directions. Energy arriving into the lungs. And then notice that feeling of everything coming back to center. Breath working its way back out through the throat, leaving through the nose again. And I want you to just take 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out, saying to yourself, aware of breathing in. Aware of breathing out. 5 rounds of breath, just like this. Notice how it gives you a single focus for your mind to follow the breath. And the breath naturally slows down just a little with that focus. When the 5th breath is complete, just sit still for a moment. Notice how you feel once again. And let's see if we can carry the focus of the breath with us, awareness of the breath, all the way through this practice together today. Gently opening the eyes when you finish the next exhale that you're on. And once the eyes are open, lifting the hips and just releasing that block from underneath you. Put it to the side near the top of your mat. And then reach for your strap and go ahead and lie yourself down onto your back. A little bit of awakening of the hips in a nice relaxed position here. So you'll lie on your back, left leg relaxing down to the earth. Bring a bend into the right knee, and you're going to place the strap around the sole of the right foot. And a little light grip of the strap here with your hand. And then on the inhale, I want you to point the toes up towards the sky. And just notice how it feels through the front of the foot and the shin. And then notice how it feels as you exhale and you draw the toes back towards the center of your body. 3, feeling it through the back of the ankle, the back of the calf, maybe even down the bigger muscles on the back of the leg, the hamstrings, and just keep on moving with the breath. Inhale points the toes away from your body. And the exhale points the toes towards you. Moving slowly and simply, and nothing is forced. We're just creating a little bit of space in the fascia that's wrapped around all of these muscles, everything connected in the body. And when we have a lack of movement in some of these areas, can sometimes have a negative impact on the lower back. So this gentle awakening of the fascia, particularly on the back line of the body, it's going to create a sense of ease in the lower back. So a really nice, simple technique to practice often. Feels really, really like a nice way to awaken the feet as well. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then when the second breath is finished, we're going to take the strap into the right hand only. Hand walks up towards the foot. Point the toes towards you on both legs and left hand to the left side of the room. Just slowly start to guide the right leg out to the right. So we're now getting into the inside of the leg here on the right side. You can use your left hand if you want to pin the hip down towards the mat if you need. Lightly squeeze the buttocks here. So that's going to give you a little bit more release through the inner thigh. And just know that when this area is tight, often it can have an effect on the pelvic bowl, tilting the pelvic bowl forward a little, and that puts an unnecessary pressure on the muscles and tissues in the lower back. Again, sometimes a reason why we might feel a little achy there. So just creating a space through the whole of the hip, inside, outside edge, front and back. And then when we're upright, we're going to be moving our spine really simply and gently and mindfully in all the directions that we can. Take another breath here. And then carry the legs slowly back up to center. Soften the knee, release the strap, release the foot down to the ground, the leg to the ground. And just notice how it feels between the two legs, left and right side. I always feel like my right leg just instantly got a little bit longer and warmer. And then go ahead and bend the left knee now. Place a strap around the left foot and extend the left leg up to the sky. A nice light grip of the strap here again, just briefly aware of how the first moment in the shape feels compared to the first side. And then let's begin with the breath once you've become aware of how things feel in the body. And inhale invites the toes up towards the sky. We feel it through the front of the foot and the shin. And then the exhale is toes back towards center, and we feel it through the ankle, the back of the calf, and the hamstring. Okay, and the leg doesn't need to be perfectly straight by any stretch of the imagination, so you're just moving the foot, that's your focus. Moving with the breath. And we want to continue to have the breath as our focus all the way through the practice today. When we have a single focus for the mind, it's much easier for us to move away from stress, to move away from overthinking, planning the rest of our day, thinking about what could have been or should have been or might be. And instead just working with the moment, living in the present moment. And that's what we want to be doing as often as we can. Easiest way to reduce anxiety on a day-to-day level. Take another 2 breaths, just back and forth. When that second breath is complete, let's walk the left hand up towards the foot on the strap, right arm over to the right side of the room, toes active on both legs, so pointing back towards the middle of our body, and then guiding the left leg out towards the left side of the room now. And if that right hip pops up, place a hand onto the hip. Try and let the right shoulder melt down to the ground, a little engagement of the outer hip muscles, the buttock area. And just notice how this side feels. Sometimes a contributing factor to achiness in the lower back is stress. And stress stores itself in lots of different places in our physical tissues. And it tightens up certain areas that will physically then also have an impact on the mobility and spaciousness and health of the spine, which can sometimes show itself up as a little aching in the back as well. So by focusing on the breath, we're not only keeping our mind present, but we're reducing our stress levels. And then that feeds back into our nervous system, feeds back into our physical tissues. And it makes our internal world a little happier, a little calmer. One more breath. And then carry the legs slowly, slowly back up to center. Bend the knee, release the foot, release the strap, and lie yourself back down onto your backs. Okay. All right, now just slowly bring a bend into the knees, feet to the floor to begin with. Draw the belly in towards the spine here, and I notice how the lower back then pushes into the ground a touch. Take the arms alongside the body here, palms down, and I want you to just slowly lift the shins up so that they're parallel to the ground, maintaining the pressure of the lower back into the mat. And then maintain that pressure the whole time if you're able to. And just slowly begin to keep the 90-degree bend in the knees. Lower the left toe to tap the floor. And as soon as it taps the floor, slowly bring it back up to where you started. And then swap legs. Right toe taps. And then we pick it back up. We're going to do 5 on each side from here. So left to the ground and back up. Right to the ground and back up, maintaining this pressure in the lower belly and back to the floor. Left to the ground and back up. Right to the ground and back up. Left to the ground and back up. Right to the ground and back up. Left to the ground, maintain the pressure and back up. Right to the ground and then back up. Last one. Left to the ground and back up. And then right to the ground, and then back up, and then just slowly place each of the feet down to the earth. Relax the belly for a moment. What that's doing is creating this sense of strength around the deeper transverse abdominis muscles here, which stabilize the spine here as well, helping to reset pelvic bowl. Now, one more thing while we're down here, keep the feet and legs as they are. Push into the feet. Draw the belly into the spine, spine towards the ground again, and just push into the hands. And just vertebrae by vertebrae, lift the hips and lower back away from the ground. So you're creating not a bridge shape, not a back bend, but a nice straight line between your knees and your hips and your shoulders. Okay, so you should feel the inner thighs fire up, the outer hips fire up. If you were to touch the hamstrings on the back of the leg, they are as well. And you're maintaining that tight corset around the core. Okay, so working the core here as well. And this just allows the pelvic bowl to come to a more neutral place more naturally and more easily as we start to move in the practice here as well. Go ahead and peel yourself down vertebrae by vertebrae. We're going to do 2 more. So once you get to the ground, reconnect the belly, pushing into the lower back pushing down to the ground, push into the feet, and then peel yourself up nice and slowly, maintaining that sense of control through center. This is a little bit of a strengthening exercise for the spine, and we'll come to do the flexibility bit just in a moment or two. But I like to start classes like this with resetting everything, getting the body used to how things should feel when we're in a good place. Go ahead and vertebrae by vertebrae, lower yourself gently back down to the earth. And then set up for the 3rd round, belly to spine, spine pushing lightly to the ground, push into the feet, keep that strength in center and peel yourself up one more time. And just notice how this feels to create this sense of stability on such a deep level in the body. And sometimes we get caught up in this more superficial aspects of strength. And we forget that if we don't have the strength in the core, the deeper layers of the body, then it's not as valuable long term. Go ahead and peel yourself down vertebrae by vertebrae and just relax the belly here. Once you're relaxed, hug the knees into the chest, take hold of the back of the thighs and just rock and roll yourself back and forth, eventually bringing yourself up to a cross leg position. Okay, cross legs. And let's sit up nice and tall, collarbone broad, taking our left hand down to the mat, right hand up to the sky. And on our exhale, just lean over to the side now. So this is going to release into the QL, one of the muscles that helps us to twist, to forward fold, and to lean as we are here. Creates a little bit of space in between the ribs and the tissues here as well, making us breathe more easily. Big, big breath here. And we slowly, slowly come back through center, taking our right hand down now, left arm up and over. And the more space we can create in these muscles that help us with our posture and our ability to stand straight and with balance, the more we're creating a healthier environment for the spine and the tissues that support it to exist. Come back through center one more time in each direction, left hand down, right hand up and over. And the more we can focus on the breath and the slowing down, the deepening of the breath as well, the more we're training the breathing muscles. using the lungs to the fullest capacity that we can. And all of that is fantastic for the health of the spine as well and our nervous system. Last one, come back through center, taking right hand down, left hand up and over. A little more space coming in, I'm sure, already. Perfect. One more breath. And then guide yourself slowly back up to upright. From here, come on over into tabletop position. Let's work with some cat and cow as my favorite way to awaken the spine. So fingers wide, shoulders above the wrists, hips above the knees. Let's soften the belly. Chest is going to reach forward, shoulders are actively drawing back, and tailbone is lifted. And as you exhale, you're pushing the ground away and just rounding through the spine. Chin draws towards the chest, and notice that different movement of the spine, different direction, opposite direction to before. Inhale back through center, chest forward. And then exhale, pushing the ground away, broadening the upper back, lifting up through the back of the body. Close your eyes if they're not already. We're going to take 3 more rounds of movement, slow as you can. And this just awakens the fascia, thoracolumbar fascia in the lower back, which a lot of the muscles in the spine and core and hips insert into. And if this is not hydrated well, then it restricts the movements of the muscles, which is also going to restrict the movement and flexibility of the spine here. And when things are restricted, we know that's when things get a little achy. One more round of movement. Notice how things feel as we create this sense of space and ease. And then when you've finished that round of breath, you're going to come back to neutral. And I want you to just extend the right leg back, tuck the toes under, okay? And then when you're pushing through the hands, you're going to push down through the right hand in particular, and just reach the right leg away from the ground now. So it's going to be parallel to the ground-ish. Roll the thigh in a little, point the toes towards your belly button, and then lift up the left hand and reach it forward. And if for whatever reason that doesn't work for you, just keep the hand on the ground. Hug the belly into the spine, just as if we were lying on the back like we were before, same feeling. Okay, so then you're using your core to stabilize the spine while we're here. And your gaze is down, just kind of to the left of your big thumb, or your thumb even. And just notice how that feels as you reach the right heel and the left fingertips away from each other. Should feel like there's a lot of work going on all the way around the core, front, back, and sides, and then all the way through the back of the leg. And all of these muscles help to stabilize the spine to some degree. And when we have strength rather than weakness in the core and the stabilizing muscles for the core, then we help to prevent backache as well. Take another breath. Nice, and then lower left hand to the ground, lower right leg and foot to the ground. And let's extend left leg out, toes tucked under to begin with. Get nice and firm through the hands, particularly the left one. And then lift left leg up, reach it away from you, parallel to the ground. Roll the thigh in a little. Nice and strong through the left hand, reach the right hand forward. And if that's too much on your lower back, right hand to the earth. Roll the thigh in a little. Gazes again to the center of the mat, just next to your left thumb. And then the reason we're looking down rather than forward is so that we're creating this nice long line of energy through the back of the body. If the belly is kind of collapsing here, remember, draw it in, hug it in. And then we're working with those deeper core muscles rather than just the more superficial layers. Notice how all of this feels. Simple movements, but quite a lot of strength happening. Take another breath here. Nice, and then lower the right hand down, lower left knee and foot to the earth, and just tuck the toes under here. And we're going to lift ourselves up into our first downward dog here. So just begin to walk the dog. Lifting one heel, bending the knee, moving from side to side. And as you do that, push the ground away with the hands, lift the hips really high. Notice how that elongates the spine, it lengthens the spine. And we're creating space in between each of the vertebrae here. So there are 5 ways that we can move the spine, and we've moved our way through every single one except twisting, so that will come soon. Notice how it feels through the back of the leg, should feel pretty good. And then we're going to just slowly start to look to the top of the mat, soften the knees, and walk our feet to the top of the mat. So now we're in a forward fold. Bend the knees as much as you need to here. Draw the belly into the spine lightly and just roll yourself up vertebrae by vertebrae. Head will be the last thing to come up. And that rolling motion slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, is articulating the spine, creating more space and hydration in between the vertebrae here as well. Hands at heart center. Push down through the feet. Inhale, lift the fingers up to the sky. Okay, as you exhale, hinge from the hips, bend the knees if you need, hands come through heart center to the ground, and just step the right foot back. Lower the knee to the earth, come onto the top of the foot, and let's lift the fingers up to the sky. Okay, grip the mat with the top and bottom of the feet that are on the ground. Sink into the hips. Draw the belly in though and away from that left thigh. And I want you to place left hand onto left hip. Lift up through the right hand so you get more space in the side body, and then just slowly lean over to the left. And we're targeting psoas muscle, which starts on the inside of the hip and travels through the pelvic bowl, attaches into the vertebrae of the lower back. So this is the number one contributor to reasons why lower back might feel achy. If this muscle is tight from overuse or even underuse, sitting down a lot, it's going to pull on the lower back. So just creating a little space, getting into QL here as well. Take another breath. And then let's slowly release right hand to the ground and a simple twist. Body turns to face left side of the room, fingers reaching up to the sky. See if you can draw the left ribs and chest and shoulder back again here. So here we are with the fifth way the spine moves. Take a nice big breath. And then lower left hand to the ground, tuck right toes, lift the knees, step it back to plank for me. Nice and strong through plank so you can feel the power in the legs, hands push the ground away, upper back strong. And then I want you to chaturanga all the way down, lower the knees if you need to. And then inhale, just lift the chest away from the ground here. How does it feel to lift the hands away from the ground? And then how does it feel to lift the feet? So we're strengthening through the whole of the back line of the body here. And the more we can strengthen the back line of the body again, less chance of this achy back feeling. One more breath. Lower the hands, tuck the toes under, lift back up through plank to downward facing dog, and then lift the right leg up, three-legged downward dog. Roll the thigh in a little, and you're only lifting the leg so high that you can do that with hips square to the ground. Hands push the earth away, so you feel the power through the back of the right leg, the stretch through the back of the left one. And then slowly look forward, step the foot forward between the hands, left knee comes down, and we rise on up to low crescent. So your top of your left foot's gripping the earth, right foot's gripping the earth. Draw the belly in and away from the right thigh. Right hand is going to come to the right thigh. Lift up through left fingers, nice and simple. And then on the exhale, lean over. So now we get into left psoas. QL on the left side body here. And the more we can mobilize some of these tissues that support the spine, whether it be core muscles or hip, the more freedom we create in this lower back area, more space for things to move as they're designed. And it just reminds us how it feels when we have this sense of balance in the body. It feels pretty good, pretty easy. One more breath. And then let's lower left hand to the ground here. Push into left hand, twist to the right side of the room. Right hand reaches up to the sky. Left hand really pushing the earth away. Ribs, chest and shoulder, drawing back. Notice how that feels to create space in the upper back, thoracic spine. Really nice if you've been sitting down a lot as well. And then place the hand to the ground. Tuck left toes under, lift the knee. Step forward to forward fold. Bend the knees if you need to. Belly to spine, roll yourself up as slowly as you can, vertebrae by vertebrae, coming up to a standing position. Head is the last thing to arrive, hands to heart center. Push down through the feet, lift up through the fingers, lift up through the heart. Exhale, hinge from the hips, soft knees, hands come to the ground, step left foot back. Lower the knee to the ground, top of the foot to the earth, grab those two blocks. Place them on the second height, just a little bit back from your right foot. And just sink into the front of that left hip here, getting a little deeper into psoas. Chest is lifted, reaching forward. Slow things down. Notice how that feels. And we're going to push into the blocks and draw left hip back above left knee, straightening out right leg, or our version of straight, toes pointing back towards us. Now inhale, spine long. And then exhale, just gently begin to fold over right leg. Getting into hamstring, and hamstring muscle attaches into the bottom of pelvic bowl. And pelvic bowl, then the top of it attaches into the muscles that support lower back, and lower back sits within pelvic bowl. So this is just a nice way to get into some of those tighter pulley areas. Take another breath. And then just slowly begin to bend the knee, coming forward. Just take the blocks to the side. Hands down, tuck left toes under, lift the knee, and step it back to downward facing dog this time. Hands push the ground away, hips nice and high, and then inhale, left leg rises. Roll the thigh in a little, hands push the earth away. Big breath. Notice the power on the back of the left leg, stretch on the back of the right. And then slowly look forward, step left foot forward, lower right knee down, top of the foot to the earth. Grab those blocks again. And then sink into right hip, reaching the chest forward, so getting a little deeper into those tissues. Chest broad, nice and relaxed around the jaw, around the neck. Taking our time to explore the fascia, the muscles releasing. And yet keeping this nice upright posture around the heart and chest. Last breath. And then let's push into the blocks. Draw right hip above right knee, straightening out left leg. Toes point back towards us, belly in and up. And as you exhale, just begin to fold over that left leg. Imagine reaching heart towards toes, toes towards heart. It's never going to literally get there, but that kind of intention of direction there prevents us from rounding the spine. Sometimes we get too concerned with getting down deep into the shapes. And I like to remind us that we're thinking about where we can find space rather than trying to go deep, deep. Because when we go deep, that's usually when we go too far and hurt ourselves. One more big breath here. And then bring a bend into left knee, foot to the ground here. And I want you to take the blocks off the mat now. Hands down and just step left foot back next to right foot. 3 rounds of cat and cow again. So as you inhale, soften the belly, chest forward. And as you exhale, rounding through the spine, just noticing how that feels compared to the first few that we did. 1 more, 2 more, sorry, chest forward. Exhale, always that rounding of the spine. Last one. Inhale brings us into front body. And then exhale, rounding and releasing. Nice. And then just slowly tuck the toes, lift the knee, but step the feet to the middle of the mat and then bring the bottom down. Soles of the feet come to touch, knees drop out. Interlace the fingers around the toes, sit tall on our inhale, and as we exhale, just beginning to fold forward. Collarbone broad, a nice long length to the spine, getting into the inner thigh, which we know is going to create a little bit of freedom in the tissues that support the pelvic bowl. You're going to feel a nice release in the lower back for some of us as well. Relax the tongue, relax the jaw, relax the neck. Just another breath here. And then go ahead and release the fingers, rolling ourselves up nice and slowly, guiding the knees together with our hands and just walking the feet forward, making sure there's enough space behind us to lie down, and then lying down onto our back. Left leg stays to the ground, nice and straight. Right knee comes into our chest and right arm goes to the right side of the mat, and the left hand height guides the knee over to the left. Simple recline twist. Don't worry about trying to get the knee to the floor. Focus more on keeping the shoulders both on the ground. Some of you are going to feel it as a twisting motion through the spine, a nice compression around the belly. Some of us will feel it through the outer hip. Try to let that left shoulder really relax, right shoulder as well. Just another breath in this direction, and of course, you can spend more time than this here when you've got more time in your day. Come back through center. Give the knee a little hug. Relax the right leg down, hugging left knee into the chest now. Left arm over to the left. Left knee over to the right side with the right hand. Shoulders stay relaxed to the ground. Gaze wherever feels best for your neck. And just closing the eyes. Finding this feeling of space and ease. And know that this is a perfect little warm-up, or even small sections of it, for Mobilizing the spine and hips each day. Come back through center, give that knee a little hug. And then relax the leg down to the ground. Take up as much space as you need with your arms as we come into Shavasana, final resting pose. Closing our eyes, softening that space in between the eyebrows, relaxing the jaw and the neck and the tongue. Taking a moment just to pause in stillness. Starting to bring just the smallest movements back into the fingers and the toes. And reaching the arms all the way up overhead, a full indulgent body stretch. And then get as small as you can, hug the knees into your chest, rolling over to your side body. Using the hands from there to push the ground away and just lift you up to a seat. And as you arrive there, just noticing how you feel in the body and the mind, noticing the breath. As you guide the hands together at heart center, bowing our head to our hands in gratitude for the practice, in gratitude for our health. Namaste.